On today's Daily Slab, we've got Jared Kelnick as our trender of the day. He's been hot to start the year. We also have a question of the day, a little Tuesday trivia based on a shocking call-up, and I got to do something pretty stinking cool on Monday that I want to talk about. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's Daily Slab. Welcome everyone to the Daily Slab. I am Nate, and our trender for today is Jared Kelnick. So, Jared Kelnick from Waukesha, Wisconsin. Shout out. A Wisconsin kid, just like yours truly. And he did not have the greatest first 2 years of his career by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, his first season, he was a 615 OPS. His last season was a 534 OPS. So, going into this season, he had a good spring training, but it was, we'll believe it when we see it in the regular season. You don't want to put much stock into spring training. You got to see it when the games count. And the games are counting, and Jared Kelnick has been the best player on the Mariners, bar none. Even Julio Rodriguez has been worse than Jared Kelnick in the early going. Kelnick is hitting .362 with a .423 on base and a .723 slugging on the young season. That's good for a 1,146 OPS. And a .219 OPS plus. He even had 4 home runs in a row, 3 against the Cubs and the 1 at home. Just an incredible stretch for him. At one point, he had a 482-foot home run. There's so many words I could say that show you how amazing Jared Kelnick is. But suffice it to say, I don't want to go on forever. He has just been incredible this season. And his card prices, well, they've moved as well. We're looking at his 2018 Bowman Draft base PSA 10, and in the last 3 months, this card is up $104 and 150% in just 3 months. You could have bought this card in January and be up 150% today, which is incredible speed, especially in today's market. And when you blow up like Jared Kelnick has been blowing up, it's pretty cool to see, especially because he's only 23 years old, and a lot of people had kind of given up on him, and yet here he is, still only 23, still becoming one of the best players in baseball. In fact, if he was drafted out of college, this would only be his second year in the minors at this point, and he is up in the majors destroying the baseball. All right, a little Tuesday trivia. I will give the answer at the end of the show. Since 2010, how many MLB players have been called up the year after their draft year? So if you got drafted in 2010, you get called up in 2011. If you got drafted in 2015, you get called up in 2016. If you get drafted in 2022, you get called up in 2023. How many players have been called up after 1 year after their draft year? I will give the answer at the end of the show. And then in What's Happening, I got to do something pretty cool, at least for me, just Monday morning at 11:45 p.m. Pacific Time, 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. I got to go on the Foul Territory TV. It's a YouTube channel, YouTube show brought to you by Scott Braun, formerly of the MLB Network, Todd Frazier, formerly of the Reds and the Mets, AJ Pierzynski, formerly of the White Sox and the Twins and teams like that, and Eric Kratz was the catcher, one of the catchers for the Brewers in 2018 when they made the playoffs, and a myriad of other teams along the way. And they run a show that also has Ken Rosenthal appear on it, Adam Jones. They just signed Lorenzo Cain. They have a bunch of former really good Major League Baseball players, and Ken Rosenthal and Scott Braun, who are big in their respective positions within the baseball world. And they started their own channel, Foul Territory, and they brought me on, little old me, to talk sports cards with them while Todd Frazier was opening a box of 2019 museum collection. And it was a very cool experience for me. It was very surreal. They had Max Scherzer on before, and then right after Max Scherzer, I was on. Like, in what world does Max Scherzer get followed up by Nathan Rodabaugh? Not one I thought existed, and yet here we are. And I got to talk cards with them, so the link will be in the bottom of this video. You can click on that to check that out there. It was very fun, and Todd hit some awesome cards out of the 2019 box, including a sweet Willy Adames auto, which I really enjoyed. So please, I don't ask for much, but if you could check that out, that would mean the world to me. Click that link, give it a watch, and let me know what you think. All right, answer time for our Tuesday trivia. And the question, again, was, since 2010, how many MLB players have debuted the year following their draft year? And the answer is 9 players. So it started in 2014 with Kyle Schwarber, and then Trey Turner and Michael Conforto in 2014. You had Alex Bregman, Dansby Swanson, Andrew Benintendi in 2015, Austin Hayes in 2016, and Nico Horner in 2018. And then we went a number of years before we had Zach Neto debut for the Angels this past weekend. In fact, he was the quickest of them all. Every other player played 500 plus games except for Nico Horner. He played 375. Every other player played 500 plus games in the minors. Neto only played plate appearances in the minors. Had 500 plus plate appearances in the minors, but Neto, who only had 201 plate appearances before he made his debut for the Angels. He was the 13th pick in last year's draft. He only played 44 games in the minors. In 7 AA games this year, he hit .444 with a .559 on base percentage and an .815 slugging percentage. Incredible numbers, but only 7 games, and the Angels made the decision to send down David Fletcher and call up Zach Neto as their full-time shortstop. We will see if it works, but the guys ahead of him, the last guys ahead of him that did that, Nico Horner has been worth 6.9 wins above replacement. He's only 25. Austin Hayes, 6.6. He's only 27. And then you got 15.9 wins above replacement, 15.4, 30.9, 15.9, 29.9, 11.3. So these guys, a lot of these guys have been really good. And some of the smaller numbers, 11.3, Kyle Schwarber. You'd love to have Kyle Schwarber on your team. Andrew Benintendi, 15.9. Dansby Swanson, 15.4. Like, these guys are really good major league players that have done this before. And so there can always be an exception to a rule, but I do expect Zach Neto, because this has happened, to be a good major league player. And as for his cards, you can see this right here, this chunk of cards here. And there's a Blue Wave auto, Bowman Chrome Blue Wave auto numbered to 199 that sold for $350 on April 17th. Well, that same card, PSA 10, sold for $405 March 8th. And $255 February 10th raw. So there has been a rise in price there for Zach Neto, which is cool to see. We will keep track of this and see how he's doing. Personally, I do think maybe it's a little bit quick for the call-up. I would have loved to have maybe put him in AAA for a week or two just to see how he handled that before calling up, if you're calling him up this quick anyways. But I'm not the Angels, and I'm sure they know what they're doing. So cool to see. If you like this move, let me know in the comments below. If you hate the move, if you're like, this is way too quick, let me know that as well. All right, and lastly, we are on April 17th, and April 30th is coming up. I know I mentioned it the other day, but I'm going to mention it again. If you like grading your cards and want to get them back quick, you can grade them with SlabStox through the slabstox.com/grading link. And you can get your cards graded $18 a card, or if they're Pokemon cards, $12 a card. Cheap, and very, very quick turnaround times. And I will say exemplary customer service on our end, hopefully. So if you want to get good customer service, quick turnaround times, and the cheapest grading fees you can get, check out slabstox.com/grading. All right, thank you everyone for watching today's Daily Slab. If you enjoyed this video, please click that like button, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for the next Daily Slab. See you, everyone.